typical good faith that accompanies another year didn't keep going long in 2020. Between the potential danger of a universal war, energized by the Iran-United States strife, and the genuine risk of a coronavirus, the previous not many months have been tense. These are frightening occasions, and the internet is by all accounts loaded up with gossipy tidbits and deception, and no modest quantity of pearl clutching. Let's reasonable up the primary misguided judgment. The coronavirus isn't called COVID-19. Rather, COVID-19 is the name of the illness brought about by the infection. That infection has been named SARS-CoV-2, Serious Intense Respiratory Disorder Coronavirus 2. Consider it like AIDS and HIV. Helps is the name of the illness. HIV is the infection that causes AIDS. Not at all like our past Wuhan influenza records, we are going to keep things somewhat lighter here. We'll concentrate on the inquisitive side of the infection and the sickness, including some intriguing subtleties we haven't secured at this point. Recently, one of the most discussed topics. Since the first week of self-isolation, when people were really scared and many had no idea what to expect at all, when the index of self-isolation was very high in all cities of Russia, not so much has passed, but people, the vast majority of your neighbors, fellow countrymen have taken this silence, like weakness and not the reality of a problem. Yes, I understand perfectly well that in the realities of our country, the promise of preserving wages does not sound very believable, but in fact, when it turns out that the majority work for uncle, and get, in an envelope, to sit on self-isolation, and eat, air is not entirely realistic, especially when children and parents are dependent. Against the background of this general disregard for self-isolation, yes, this is not a law, yes, this is not an emergency, and this is just a recommendation. COVID dissidentism has begun to grow. They are called COVID idiots all over the world. Seriously, if I had not seen this with my own eyes, and more than once, I would never have believed that a person who knows how to use electricity, lives in concrete boxes, at an altitude of 30-50 meters above the ground, flying at almost the speed of sound at an altitude of meters, capable of delivering such diarrhea from the brain, transmitting it with your fingers. But this is all the lyrics, let us say the introduction. To make it clear, why in general I began to talk about seriousness. The coronavirus is deadlier for men. Chinese researchers have discovered that people are similarly liable to be contaminated by the coronavirus. In any case, fatalities in China have happened at a pace of 2.8% for men contrasted with 1.7% for ladies, proposing that men are bound to bite the dust when tainted. Remember that these insights may downplay the case of disease in the two gatherings, so these rates could be overhauled with new information. At present, the most plausible purpose behind the sex distinction can be credited to something that researchers definitely knew: the female and vulnerable reaction is more grounded than that of guys. In spite of the fact that the specific purpose behind this is as yet obscure, it is accepted to be connected to either the more elevated levels of estrogen hormone in ladies or the way that every lady has two X chromosomes instead of a man to an X chromosome. Both factors add to resistance. This sex contrast could happen for transformative reasons, as ladies need to stay solid for delayed occasions to tolerate youngsters and support them. COVID-19 has already killed more people than SARS as of this composition. We are around a quarter of a year into this new pestilence. Is there any genuine purpose behind panic? At first look, it appears that there may be. In a flat-out sense, Wuhan influenza has just executed a bigger number of individuals than SARS, Serious Intense Respiratory Disorder, which was brought about by another strain of coronavirus in the mid-Cardes. Notwithstanding, the rates tell an alternate story. As of this composition, individuals have contracted COVID-19 and have picked its bucket. Then again, individuals turned out to be sick with SARS and 774 died. Up until this point, the general passing rate from COVID-19 seems, by all accounts, to be 3.4%, while the casualty rate from SARS was an incredible 9.6%. Obviously, any passings from COVID-19 are too much. Be that as it may, a significant concern with respect to this illness is the manner by which effectively and subtly it can spread. On the off chance that you are inside 1.8 meters, 6 foot, of a contaminated individual, you are viewed as in danger. That makes any metro a potential problem area for contamination. Furthermore, it can take as long as about 14 days for an individual to create indications. That makes this new infection nearly as simple to get as the normal bug. However, COVID-19 is undeniably progressively deadly. The coronavirus may also kill the global economy in 2020. The worldwide economy carries on to some degree like a living being, and it began 2020 with a dreadful bug. As indicated by the World Bank, the underlying projections for worldwide development in 2020 were 2.5%, marginally over the post-emergency low recorded in 2019. To compound the situation, the coronavirus pestilence is influencing China, one of the most impressive economies on the planet. As indicated by a February 2020 Reuters survey of business analysts in China, the country's yearly monetary development in the primary quarter of 2020 is required to decrease to 4.5% from around 6.0% in the past quarter. Much of this is because of the flare-up, and it's relied upon to influence every one of us. In any case, these financial analysts anticipate that monetary development could bounce back rather rapidly if the flare-up is viably contained. Now, what means can this pestilence hurt the economy so dramatically? Well, individuals are significantly less slanted to travel and utilize different administrations as of now since they fear being presented to the infection. In any case, we ought to anticipate that an expansion in memberships should Netflix and others play in stages as individuals marathon watch appears while stowing away in their homes. We are not only even after surviving the first encounter with the coronavirus would likely be able to strike a similar spot twice. All things considered, indeed, that is the general purpose of flood arresters. Sadly, with regards to the coronavirus, a similar guideline applies. Let's state you got the infection and had the option to ricochet back. You're fine, right? No, not so much. As of late, a Japanese lady was determined to have COVID-19 for the subsequent time. The lady is a visit transport control in Osaka, which makes her all the more effectively presented to disease because of the quantity of individuals with whom she communicates. That news is dismal on the grounds that it increases the potential effect of the malady. Moreover, it makes the advancement of a compelling immunization less feasible. Researchers are as yet attempting to make sense of how the coronavirus can contaminate a similar individual twice, or if there is another clarification for the twofold positive outcomes. Did it all start with bats, snakes, or even pangolins? Now, numerous individuals have caught wind of the most plausible beginning of the coronavirus, bats. China has gained notoriety for having a curious neighborhood food as wild creatures can be purchased at open-air advertises and eaten. One local delicacy incorporates a purportedly tasty and very unpleasant bat soup. Scientists are at present attempting to figure out which creature is answerable for transmitting the infection to people, yet they are as yet uncertain. Two other potential guilty parties incorporate snakes and pangolins. In case you are new to pangolins, they are lovable warm-blooded creatures with textured bodies that can twist into a ball when under risk. Pangolins can be found normally in Asia and Africa. Be that as it may, these animals are dealt everywhere throughout the world since they are viewed as a delicacy. It makes you feel that this entire calamity could have been maintained a strategic distance from if individuals would simply disregard wild creatures. That's all. Draw conclusions. Write in the comments what you think about coronavirus. Like and subscribe to the channel. Until we meet again.